Hey, we're back on Grand Touring Concepts. We've got IVAN2104 on the hoist, and Sean's got a big job ahead of him. He was out driving around, and suddenly, the clutch, done.
Yep, it's completely toast. It was good, and then nothing.
Yeah, it survived ice racing and various hoonage. We thought it was pretty good, but we did have some warning that it was going to get bad. So Sean put in an emergency order to Sergey at Lada, Moscow. He was able to hook us up with a self-adjusting slave. So that will keep us from crawling around under the car, always doing periodic adjustments to keep the clutch in tune. So stay tuned for that, and we'll take you through the trip. So we have the car up in the air, and Sean's taken the liberty of pulling the drive shaft, which is just 4 bolts at the front, 4 bolts at the back, 3 at the front. Off the guibo, we have the steady bearing and a couple other straps that have to come out of the way. We're doing it right now with the exhaust out of the way, which is really helpful. Let's just take a look underside. Okay, Sean, how are we going?
That's going okay. Drive shaft's all out, as you just pointed out. I've got the starter unbolted and slid back out of the way. Without the manifold and stuff in the way, it's a very easy job. Now we're going to remove the clutch slave, the ground strap, all the bolts that hold the tin shield in on the back side. Then we're going to undo the bell housing bolts, the 2 bolts that hold the cross member in, and bring the whole transmission down and out.
So is there any problems that you anticipate for anyone doing this for the first time at home? Is there any tricks or tips that they should know?
Really, the only thing is that the top right-hand bolt for the bell housing absolutely sucks. The one top left-hand is not a whole lot better, but the top right is the worst.
All right, sounds good. So when you check back with us next, we'll pull this transmission out. We'll have that on the floor, give you an overview of that. We'll carry on with tackling the clutch itself. So we've got everything disconnected. The shifter up top is done. The starter is disconnected. Of course, the drive shaft, as you've seen, our cross member is done, and all the bell housing bolts are out. Those were a little bit of a fight, but Sean was able to access them with some extensions and some creative work.
Reverse switch is also unhooked.
Right there, reverse switch.
And do not forget the speedo cable.
So at this point, we're ready to carefully lower the transmission down with a transmission jack. If you're working on jack stands, this can be a little bit tricky, so always be careful. Don't pinch your hand.
And it is as simple as that.
Oh yeah, just that simple.
You guys completely missed the big pry bar. Lots of roughness.
Yeah,
not nice.
This didn't come apart very nicely. So again, if you're doing this on jack stands at home, you may have a little bit of a fight ahead of you, but keep at it, it will separate.
Yeah, look at all the rust.
Oh yeah.
She was seized in the splines on the,
yep,
on the clutch disc. Now that we have the flywheel and the old clutch out, we're going to take a moment to address another issue these cars have. Especially this one where it sat for a long time before I got it. While we're in here doing the clutch, we're also going to do the rear main seal on the crankshaft. It's quite simple. You undo these 2 bolts here on the oil pan. You undo all these other bolts here, as well as this last one. Use a small screwdriver to pry, and you give it a little pop. You can give them a little pop. There we go. It's coming loose. Nothing on this car seems to really want to go nicely tonight. Trying to be gentle. I don't want to hurt the oil pan gasket. I don't want to destroy that. Because to change that, I have to remove a whole bunch of other things. So I'm trying to be gentle. There, nice and gentle. And there, this comes off, and then we just go on the back side. We press out the seal, and we'll press a new seal in, put it all together, and no more engine oil leak on the back of the engine. With the back seal retainer out and cleaned up, and we have the old seal out, we're now ready to install the new seal. With this being a completely rubber lined seal, we don't want to grease it or put anything like that on, because once you install it, it'll actually let the seal come out too easy. So you just put it in, lay it smooth, put it in, get it close, so it's kind of even. Then line her up and tap her down in. That's all she wrote. Now we can bolt her back in and we're good to go.
So we're back at the workbench. Sean was able to extract both the transmission and our original clutch. Let's take a look at it. Here we have our original 1991 Lada factory clutch. As far as we know, this is original to the vehicle. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of wear, material everywhere. It's in bad shape. The pressure plate side, we've got some heat. Definitely some heat there, some slip happening, and some grooving. That's not good. Then taking a look at our clutch disc, this thing is polished smooth. It is slippery. We still have material, but we're just not getting engagement. It's spun. You can see where the rivets have been polished off shiny, where they're making contact with both the flywheel and the pressure plate. So this is suitable for the junk bin. But luckily, we've got something better. We talked to Sergey at Lada Moscow, and he was able to hook us up with a 215 millimeter upgrade clutch. These are typically found in the modern Nivas. We have a Sachs pressure plate, brand new. We'll just have to clean that up by stripping off the preservative oils before install. Then we have a full organic disc. This will give us nice smooth engagement, as well as giving us nice long life and a little bit more gripping power because of the increased diameter. And of course, finally, we have a brand new flywheel to match with our enlarged pressure plate and clutch disc. So this will all go together as a good kit. We also have this auto-adjusting slave. This will replace the manual one that's currently in the car that has a threaded end. This is auto-adjusting and provides lighter effort, as well as hassle-free maintenance. Additionally, we have the hoses that we require and our various fittings. So if you need one of these for your own vehicle, contact Sergey over at Lada Moscow and he'll get you going.
We now have the rear main seal back in place. We have the back cover in place. We're getting ready to install the flywheel. Set it in, and the threaded holes will only line up in one spot. So turn it to where holes line up. You take your bolts, make sure you put Loctite on the bolts so the bolts don't come loose, and then start to tighten them up. Snug them at first, and you're going to want to go in a star or a crisscross pattern. Once you get that, then you can go back to actually torquing them. With the flywheel bolted in, we now move on to the clutch and pressure plate. So we have our clutch disc. I built a centering tool out of a socket and some tape because I didn't have one to fit. Put her in, hold her up in place so it's centered. Then we grab our pressure plate, slide that over the whole shooting match, rotate it around till it lines up on the dowels. We have the clutch and pressure plate in. Due to the short pilot studs of the pressure plate, we had to run all the bolts in by hand in a sequential fashion to take it the whole way until it actually touches the flywheel. So I couldn't put a socket on it at first. I had to run it in with the wrenches till I got it bottomed. But now with it all centered on the pins as it's sucked in, I can now use a torque wrench to tighten it up. And the torque that I'm using on this is 12 foot-pounds. Again, we want to go in a star fashion. We are actually going to go to 20 foot-pounds. I'd rather be a little tighter. As long as it doesn't stretch the bolts and bugger them up, we're all good. And that torques up much better. And it's not stretching the bolt for nothing because you'd be able to feel it if it was. Okay, we're all good. Now we're ready to put some pieces in the transmission and put the transmission back in place. While we have the transmission out, it is a good time to do the clutch slave and the new clutch line. I already removed the old one, which was quite tight, and I had to put a significant amount of heat to it to get it loose. But to install it, it's pretty straightforward and simple. Get her all up in place, get it lined up, thread it on. Make sure that this is up where it needs to be. Yep, we're good there. Put a wrench on this side to hold it in place. Another wrench to tighten it up. And that's tight. And then just a matter of putting the little keeper lock in, and then we will cover how to bleed it once we have the transmission all installed. Go up now. How's that for sliding together?
That went together easy.
Well, it wasn't seized up like it was coming out.
Yeah, where the input shaft was rested into the clutch. That was a fight.
Yes, that was not fun.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Much easier than it come out.
Okay,
Yep, she's going in on the dowel. Let me get these snug, then you can pull that out.
So that's all we have to do is finish putting the rest of the bolts in, and then it's just a matter of starting to tidy things up and do our reassembly. To finish up this job, Sean installed the new auto-adjusting clutch slave cylinder. It occupies the same location as the OEM piece, and will save us from having to make manual adjustments down the road. It is held into position with the supplied bracket and 2 bolts, and it's just a matter of finessing it into place. There is a little bit of tension there caused by the hose. The next step was to bleed the air from the clutch hydraulic system. This is done just like a set of brakes. Ensure there is fluid in the reservoir, and then have an assistant pump the clutch pedal a few times and hold the pedal. Then crack the bleeder screw and allow the air to escape. Repeat this process until no more air is in the system, and you're finished. And that takes care of another successful install. We were able to install the 215mm upgraded clutch in IVAN2104 after that weak 194mm unit failed on us.
Yep, it was the original clutch though, so we can't complain too much. Other than that, no modifications necessary. Direct bolt in, very simple, very easy. We can't do a video yet on how it performs because I have to take it out, do a proper break-in procedure. But after a little bit of driving, we'll do a quick video on how we feel the clutch is doing and how well of an upgrade it really is.
Now, we also did notice while bleeding the clutch system that the clutch effort is greatly reduced. So that's a good thing for anyone who finds that driving a manual is fatiguing in traffic or anything else like that. And with the additional clamping force of that bigger plate, we hope that it'll hold any future power upgrades that we've got for the car.
Yeah, and definitely aggressive driving.
Aggressive driving is definitely a thing in the future.
Yeah.
So, as always, like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for our next video.
Later.